Girls, what is the greenest flag you can find in a guy? For me, it was the day my boyfriend Cameron sat with my dad in a hospital waiting room for 5 straight hours and didn't even tell me about it until a week later. I met Cam at my best friend's birthday dinner. He was the quiet one in a group of loud guys. While everyone else bragged about gym routines and crypto gains, he offered to help the waiter clean up a spilled drink. That was the first thing I noticed. He asked for my number like it wasn't a game. Just, I'd really like to talk more if that's okay. 2 months in, I got COVID. Bad. Fever, coughing, couldn't get out of bed. I texted him that I might have to cancel our weekend plans. He showed up an hour later with soup, Gatorade, cough drops, and a copy of Pride and Prejudice, because I mentioned once in passing that I'd never read it and he couldn't let that slide. He sat 6 feet away from me in a mask and read it to me out loud, with different voices for every character. I don't think I've ever laughed that hard while half dead, but the moment I knew he was built different came a few months later when my dad collapsed at work. It was a Friday. I was in a meeting when my mom called me 6 times in a row. I left work in a panic and met her at the ER. Dad had passed out from a blood clot they hadn't detected. He was stable, but they needed to run tests. I called Cam crying, saying I didn't know how to deal with this. He said, "Where are you?" I told him. Then my phone died. I forgot to bring a charger. I barely ate. I sat next to my mom for hours while doctors and nurses came in and out with more questions than answers. At some point, I must have fallen asleep on the plastic waiting room bench. When I woke up, there was a paper cup of coffee on the table next to me and a hoodie draped over my shoulders. I assumed it was from my mom. It wasn't. Later that night, when we finally got to go home, she asked me, "Do you know who that guy was who brought you the charger earlier?" "What guy?" She smiled. "Tall, wore glasses. Said he was your boyfriend. Sat with your dad for over an hour while you were asleep." I stared at her. Cam never told me he came. He didn't text, didn't make it a big thing, just quietly showed up and made sure I had what I needed. When I asked him later why he didn't say anything, he just said, "It wasn't about me. You needed support and I knew you wouldn't ask for it." Greenest flag ever. But it didn't stop there. One night, I was talking about my dad's upcoming appointment. I was stressed, biting my nails, spiraling about bills and insurance. Cam just said, "Send me the schedule. I'll take off work that day so you're not alone." No hesitation, no drama. He once found a stray cat outside his apartment, and instead of calling animal control, he built a makeshift shelter out of a cardboard box, lined it with one of his old hoodies, and checked on it every morning until a rescue picked it up. Said he couldn't sleep knowing it was cold. Another time, my roommate had a panic attack while I was out of town. She texted Cam thinking I was with him. He showed up at our place with her favorite snacks, sat on the floor with her for an hour, and walked her through breathing exercises. He didn't even tell me until she did. He remembers things like the exact way I like my coffee, which grocery store plays the worst music, and the name of my childhood hamster I had for 2 weeks when I was 7. He texts good morning every single day, even when he's got back-to-back meetings, even when he's sick. When his ex messaged him out of nowhere, he didn't just block her. He handed me the phone and said, "You can read every word. I have nothing to hide." When I told him I was scared of how good everything felt, because nothing this good ever lasted, he didn't try to fix it. He just pulled me into a hug and said, "We'll take it one day at a time, together." So yeah, I've had butterflies, I've had crushes, I've even said "I love you" before, but I've never had someone show up the way Cam does. Quietly, consistently, without needing credit or applause. And that's how I knew I wasn't just dating a good guy. I was dating the guy.